fans, this past Saturday you had Jermell Charlo taking on the pretty much in some people's eyes still pound for pound king Canelo Alvarez for Canelo Alvarez 168-pound championship. He is the undisputed championship, so all his belts were on the line in this contest. Where you got Jermell Charlo being the undisputed king at super welterweight at 154. Jermell Charlo took up 2 weight classes and decided to take on Canelo Alvarez due to the fact that I believe Canelo Alvarez originally challenged his brother Jamal Charlo, who is a middleweight champion of the world as well, but I believe Jamal just could not make it and he decided to fill in for his brother. You know, Jamal decided to fill in for his brother, so the fight did take place this Saturday, and let's talk about it, shall we? So the fight pretty much went almost as expected in my eyes. You know, in my eyes, I felt like Canelo Alvarez was just going to be a little bit too big, a little bit too strong, and a little bit too fast. Maybe even a little bit too experienced for Jermell Charlo. Jermell Charlo, believe this or not, they're both about the same age. They're both 33, you know, but if you look at the records, with Jermell and Canelo Alvarez almost has double the amount of fights that Jamal has. Canelo Alvarez has been doing this since he was like 15, 16 years old, you know, as a professional. You know, not just like an amateur. He's been doing it as a professional. So he's had well over almost close to 60 fights, I want to say, if not give or take. So the experience was just way more too much in Canelo Alvarez's corner. As far as the power goes, again, you got to go in Canelo Alvarez's corner because of the fact that he is fighting at 168. How Canelo Alvarez actually knocked out the light heavyweight one-time king Sergey Kovalev at 175 pounds, where Jermell Charlo has never really fought at anything above 154. This is his first time jumping up 2 weight classes. So you can't really knock him. You can't really knock Jamal for doing his thing. You know, it takes a lot of guts to do that. It takes a lot to say, hey, you know what? I'm willing to take on the best. I'm willing to risk it all. I'm willing to move up a couple of weight classes to prove that I want to go against the best and to prove that I can actually beat the best. Very few fighters in this generation or in this lifetime has actually ever done that. You know, you can count them all on like a good maybe 10 and both hands. You know, there's not a lot of fighters that are willing to do that. A lot of fighters want to play it safe. A lot of fighters want to stay in their own division. A lot of fighters don't want to take risks. So more props to Jermell Charlo for doing that. In the fight, though, he did seem like he was a little tentative. Maybe the moment did get to him. You know, he is in there with the guy that's quite possibly top 3 pound for pound in the world and possibly the number 2 best Mexican boxer of all time. So maybe the spot got to him. Maybe the person he's going against got to him. But he did not seem like he was really as good as he pretty much puts it out there to be. Or as he is shown he is against other opponents. I'm talking about Jermell Charlo. But, you know, you can't necessarily blame him again because he's going against a much bigger guy, a much more experienced guy. So, yeah, definitely a big different playing field regarding Jermell and Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez did what he does best. He goes in there, he waits his opponents out, he wants to make sure and wants to download them, and then once he downloads them, he unloads with his combinations, unload with his power shots, unloads with those crazy hooks and those uppercuts, was able to drop Jermell Charlo, and then pretty much you can see Jermell just pretty much doing everything he can to survive. Not necessarily win the fight, but just to survive that fight. And he did survive, and the fight went to decision with Canelo Alvarez winning by unanimous decision, of course. So it wasn't the greatest fight in the world. It wasn't something that was going to blow your hair back. It wasn't something that's going to be remembered. It isn't going to be on the top 10 list, but it definitely made a big statement for Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez has had some criticism over the past 2 fights. His fight with Triple G and his fight with John Ryder, where a lot of people thought that maybe his time is done, maybe he is not the same anymore, maybe he's on the downslide of his career. Well, this kind of showed a lot of people like, hey, look it, this guy's younger in the ring more than me. He has less experience, but he is still younger in the ring. And he is a really good fighter. He's a really dangerous fighter. And as a matter of fact, he actually has the height and reach over Canelo Alvarez. But Canelo Alvarez was still willing to do, or still willing to step in there, in the ring with them, and still able to handle them without really any kind of serious danger in there. So it does make a big statement for Canelo Alvarez. And that did shut up a lot of critics, I believe, from saying like, hey, you know, Canelo Alvarez is on the downward spiral. Or not downward spiral, but on the downside of his career. Especially after that Bivol loss. You got to remember, he wanted Bivol at 175. He wanted to take him on at 175. He didn't want to have any kind of excuses being made for him at 168. You know, because Dmitry Bivol wanted him at 168, and so he could take all his belts on, which I understand that's actually a good challenge and become a two-weight division champion. But Canelo Alvarez lost at 175, so he also rematched at 175, and you got to respect Canelo Alvarez as well, because at the end of the day, he is the A side. He does call the shots. Where, you know, Dmitry Bivol, yes, you did win the rematch, but at the end of the day, not a lot of people are going to pay to see you. A lot of people are paying to see the cash cow, the pay-per-view king right now, Canelo Alvarez. So with that being said, guys, Canelo Alvarez wins, keeps all his belts. What is next? Well, he did say that he wants to come back Cinco de Mayo. I do know that there is a fight coming November. I believe it's November 25th. It is David Benavidez versus Demetrius Andrade at 168. Now, if David Benavidez could do what he was able to do to guys like David Lemieux and Caleb Plant to Demetrius, we got ourselves one hell of a blockbuster fight come Cinco de Mayo between Canelo Alvarez and David Benavidez. I can't imagine what bigger fight would be for next year. That would be a massive fight, a massive showdown that I think everybody wants to see. Of course, there's always this talks about him facing Terrence Crawford. I personally don't feel like he should. I personally feel like Terrence Crawford should maybe make a little bit more of a statement at a higher weight. Go up to 168, possibly challenge somebody. Go up to 160, possibly challenge somebody. And do what you need to do, you know, just to show us like, hey, you're jumping three weight classes. And that's a big statement for him. You know, if he were to get it done, that's legendary. That's GOAT status right there. And you know what? Who better to do it than Terrence Crawford? But it's not really necessarily an upside win for Canelo Alvarez, because on paper, Canelo Alvarez is actually supposed to win that fight. If you really think about it, being the bigger guy, the more experienced guy, and the more veteran guy. So there really isn't much to gain in that fight right now at this moment. If Terrence Crawford were to make his way up, little by little, maybe do a fight at 154, a fight at 160, and then one fight at 168, maybe you could possibly see him and Canelo Alvarez go toe-to-toe with each other down the line. If not next year, then quite possibly the year after. But other than that, those are the two matchups I can see for Canelo Alvarez next year, especially at Cinco de Mayo, him versus David Benavidez. Jermall Charlo is going to be a fun. You know, his original weight class was at 154, and there is where he's the undisputed king at, and there is where he actually already started some kind of trash talk between him and Terrence Crawford. So there you go, right there and there. You got yourself one hell of a fight. You got yourself two guys willing to do it, two guys who are undisputed, two guys who are really great at their own division, and you already got Terrence Crawford wanting to make his way up to that division. So yeah, absolutely. I don't see why not these two cannot connect with each other and make it happen with each other. You know, you got Terrence Crawford, who could very well possibly become undisputed in the third weight class, a third. Not very many people, not very many boxers have been able to do that, if not any at all. He could be the very first. He could be very first, but it remains to be seen. So guys, let me know what you guys think about that Canelo Alvarez fight. Let me know what you guys think is going to be next for him. Let me know what you guys think is going to be next for Charlo. Just let me know, guys. Like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.